October 1462. The castle above the Argeș River. She can hear the drums. The Ottoman army is in the valley below. Tens of thousands of soldiers, the forces of the most powerful empire in the world. They have marched into Wallachia to destroy her husband. And they are going to succeed. Her husband has already fled. He crossed the mountains with a handful of loyal men, leaving her behind. She walks to the tower parapet and looks down at the river. It is a very long way down. According to Romanian tradition, she said, "I would rather have my body rot and be eaten by the fish of the Argeș than be led into captivity by the Turks." Then she jumped. The river below Poenari Castle is still called Râul Doamnei, the Lady's River. It has been called that for over 550 years. This is Poenari, the real Dracula's castle. Not the tourist one, not the myth. The place he actually built with enslaved hands on a cliff no sane army would attack, and the place that still couldn't save him. To understand him, you have to go back to when he was 11 years old and his father handed him to the enemy. His name was Vlad. His father was Vlad II, Prince of Wallachia, a member of the Order of the Dragon. The Romanian word for dragon is drac. Vlad's father was called Vlad Dracula, Vlad the Dragon. His son would be called Vlad Dracula, son of the dragon. In time, that became Dracula. In 1442, Vlad II needed Ottoman support to keep his throne. The price Sultan Murad II demanded was collateral. 2 of Vlad's sons handed over as hostages to guarantee his loyalty. Vlad II agreed. Vlad, the future Vlad III, the future Impaler, was 11 or 12 years old. He and his brother Radu were taken. What happened there is a matter of documented history and dark inference. The boys received an education. They studied languages, military strategy, riding, diplomacy. Radu converted to Islam and joined the court willingly. Vlad did not. Contemporary accounts describe him even as a child as defiant, watchful, and violent. He spent years watching how an empire wielded absolute power, studying it, absorbing it, deciding what he would do. He was 17 when news came from home. His father had been murdered by Wallachian boyars. His older brother Mircea had been captured by the same men. They buried him alive, not killed. Buried, alive. Some accounts say he was blinded first with hot iron rods. Vlad was released shortly after. He was no longer useful as leverage. He went home to a country run by the people who had murdered his family. By 1456, Vlad had seized the Wallachian throne for the second time. He intended to stay there. His first major act was a dinner party. On Easter Sunday, Vlad invited the boyar families of Wallachia to a feast, the ones who had been there when his father was ambushed. They came in their finest clothes, Easter finery. They were right, in a narrow sense. Vlad didn't kill them at the table. He had the eldest among them impaled, while the others watched. A lesson in what he thought of them. The rest were marched at spear point out of the city, northward into the Carpathian foothills toward a ruined fortress on a cliff above the Argeș River. The march was roughly 50 miles. People died on the road. The ruins they arrived at were strategically perfect. Vlad wanted it rebuilt, expanded. The boyars and their families built it. They quarried stone and hauled timber. They worked in their Easter clothes until the fabric rotted off their bodies, then in rags, then in nothing. Those who collapsed were replaced. Those who died were replaced. By the time the castle was complete, those who had survived were barely recognizable as the aristocrats who had arrived in Easter finery. Vlad made them serfs. Poenari Castle was built on the labor of the people who killed his family. Vlad considered this fair. Vlad III did not invent impalement. It was used across medieval Europe and the Ottoman Empire. What made him extraordinary was the scale, the precision, and the deliberate theatrical quality of it. He used it as a weapon of psychological warfare as much as physical punishment. The method: a sharpened stake, driven through the body, the victim hoisted upright on it. When done with care, and Vlad's executioners were skilled, the stake avoided vital organs, and the person could survive for hours, sometimes days. Victims were arranged in patterns. Height indicated rank. The more important the prisoner, the higher the stake. Vlad reputedly had an aesthetic sense about these installations, positioning them in rows, semicircles, or spirals for visual effect. He used this against internal enemies and against Ottoman prisoners of war on a massive scale. Modern historians estimate somewhere between 40,000 and 100,000 people were killed during his reigns, the majority by impalement. The Ottoman Sultan called him Kaziklu Bey, the Impaler Prince. There is a story of two Ottoman ambassadors who refused to remove their turbans. Vlad had the turbans nailed to their heads. "I have only helped them," he reportedly said. "Now they will never have to remove them." In 1461, Vlad III declared war on the Ottoman Empire, not a border skirmish. He crossed the Danube with an army and sent Mehmed II, the man who had just conquered Constantinople, a letter detailing the kill count. Vlad reportedly listed 23,884 enemy dead. Mehmed II responded with one of the largest military mobilizations in Ottoman history, an army estimated at 60,000 to 100,000 soldiers. Vlad had fewer than 30,000 men. He scorched the earth ahead of them, burned crops, poisoned wells. On the night of June 17th, 1462, Vlad led an attack on the Ottoman camp. They hit the camp from multiple directions in the dark, with the objective of finding and killing Mehmed II. They got close, but they did not kill him. By dawn, the Wallachians had melted back into the forest. Mehmed pushed on toward Târgoviște, the capital. He found it abandoned, and outside the city walls, he found something that stopped his army in its tracks. 20,000 impaled prisoners, arranged in rows, rotting in the June heat. The Ottoman records say Mehmed's generals refused to advance further. The Sultan himself wept. "How could we take the land from someone who does things like this?" one of his commanders reportedly said. The Ottoman army withdrew. The Ottomans withdrew, but Vlad's victory was hollow. His own brother Radu was now leading an Ottoman-backed force through Wallachia. Radu knew the country. One by one, Wallachian towns and nobles defected to Radu. By autumn 1462, Vlad had only one real stronghold left, Poenari. Radu's forces closed in. Vlad took the route north, over the Făgăraș Mountains into Transylvania. His wife did not. What she was thinking in those last moments, no one recorded. Whether she was left behind or chose to stay. What we know is what she said and what she did. "I would rather have my body rot and be eaten by the fish of the Argeș than be led into captivity by the Turks." She jumped from the tower of the castle her husband had built on other people's suffering, into the river far below. Radu's men entered the castle and found it empty. Vlad crossed into Transylvania and was immediately arrested by the King of Hungary. He spent the next 12 years in captivity, in comfortable house arrest, before being released to fight the Ottomans again. He died in battle in late 1476 or early 1477. His head was sent to Constantinople, where Mehmed II displayed it on a spike. He was about 45 years old. In 1897, Bram Stoker published a Gothic horror novel about a vampire count. He called the count Dracula. But the connection to the real Vlad III is thin. The castle marketed to tourists as Dracula's castle is Bran Castle. It has nothing to do with him. Poenari, the castle Vlad actually built, is a ruin on a cliff that takes 1,480 steps to reach. There are no gift shops at the top. The walls are crumbling. It is not comfortable. It is not preserved. It is genuinely desolate in a way that Bran Castle cannot be. But it is real. Vlad III was not a vampire. He was something more disturbing. A man who decided that maximum public violence was a rational political strategy, used it effectively, and was right. His methods terrorized enemies into retreating. His cruelty consolidated power in a country that had been ungovernable for decades. And when everything collapsed anyway, when the brother he'd grown up alongside led the army that ousted him, the most honest thing about him may be the river below the cliff, called by a woman's name. For 550 years, whatever else you believe about Vlad III, monster, military genius, patriot, sadist, the river remembers her, not him.